Thank you very much. So my name's Kieran. I'm a cardiac scientist here in Birmingham at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And I was in all your positions about 6 years ago now, back in 2013. So thinking back how I felt on my first day, coming to events like this with the National School, it is very, very exciting. There's lots of buzzwords and talk about the future of the NHS. But actually, my impressions when I got to the hospital was slightly different. So there's more of an emphasis on there's a clinical job to do. There's a lot of senior people who are innovating, and it's really just trying to get involved with the incredible pressures that we had on us day to day. So how did I find the experience going through the STP? I think I'm kind of going to echo here that you hit the ground running, and it's very, very fast-paced, lots of new experiences. And as you go through the rotational modules, as you're starting to understand what you're doing, all of a sudden you're on to the next thing. So it's very difficult then to go back. Second year, you get stuck into your specialism. There's a huge amount of clinical work to cover. Your master's starts to build up, your research project starts, and as you get into your third year, for me, my research project took over. Clinical work that you're doing becomes much more specialized. And then towards the end of this, you have to then consolidate all of your knowledge for your OSFAs, which I'm sure you'll hear about later. And what you find that if you're not on top of things from the start, it's very difficult to then catch back up because things are moving so quickly. So I started off the experience much like this there, Dora. It's starting a new adventure. But by the end of it, I felt a bit like this guy, just hoping that I was going to get through it all. So what I'm trying to say is that I found it to be a really tough balancing act, trying to balance the clinical work, keeping on top of the online portfolio, the master's work, but then also, an important part of the balance is having a life. So I think I'm going to repeat a little bit what was said by Lauren, but the important thing is planning early, getting yourself organized, speaking to people around you, making sure that you're all on the same page with your training mentor, your supervisor, speaking to people who have similar experiences, different trainees, and really coming up with a plan and understanding what you want out of specific areas and different modules that you're going through. So when you're going through the clinical work, you can gather your evidence, and it's a much better way of going through things than then having to go back to it. So looking at things that I'm glad I did, one of the main things I'm really glad at, just going out and being proactive. So if there's anything that you're interested in, anything that you want to get involved with, there's a unique opportunity where you can actually go and do it, speak to people and put your neck out on the line. I was lucky enough to travel down to Wembley. I did the cardiology in football symposium and had a really unique and fantastic experience that I wouldn't have been able to get at my hospital. Another thing I'd say is say yes to everything. Offer to do as much as you can, and you'll be surprised at the opportunities that might open up for you. The more you put your neck out, as Lauren said, with different research projects, it's now led to a PhD. There's different things that you might not see where those doors open, but they do the more you do. For example, some of the things I did, I mentored first-year rotational students, promoted the department with Healthcare Science Week and became a STEM ambassador, where I was teaching healthcare science and different things to school children. And not only do you learn a great experience from this, it actually gives you a different perspective and a different outlook on what you're doing. And as I say, the opportunities you get from there can be surprising. It goes without saying, make the most of your elective. You'd absolutely love to have this opportunity again later down the line, so make the most of it while you can. I was lucky enough to travel down to Bristol and work within paediatric cardiology and learning lots from there. And we had some great experiences, met some fantastic people, some lifelong friends, and there's people from all different specialisms here. So those first impressions that I had, talking about how I felt the first time in the hospital, that is changing. And this is a change in the culture of the whole NHS, and something that I think the STP is pushing, and something that I feel a particularly good place to be with the STP that I've done. And this is looking at new ways of working, innovation in service delivery, and then leading to changes in and advancements in patient care. So if I think about what the STP has done for me and what I've got out of it, I gained my professional accreditation while still training on the STP. I was quickly promoted to a senior level within a year post-qualification, and I think this is paramount to the excellent training that I had whilst being on the STP. Some current roles that I do: I'm a training mentor to new staff. I'm a regional representative to the professional body that I'm under, the British Society of Echo, and with that I run and chair local training meetings within the West Midlands region. I'm performing advanced practice roles, so these are the new and innovative ways that things can take you in the clinical work. So I'm training in scientist-led services, and these are services that were previously doctor-led, but the new pressures and the new way the NHS is changing, it's making us come up as leaders in the clinical field and really taking these roles on. Working with the structural intervention team, I'm involved in very innovative and new procedures. This is me here working in the cath lab, prepping the valves for keyhole valve surgery. And it's a great dynamic to have within my working practice. And I'm also working to independently run scientist-led valve clinics where I'll have my own patients and I'll be independently responsible for their clinical decision-making. So looking forward, I'm looking just to carry on growing in my role. I'm still learning, continually learning with all the new advancements that's coming up in healthcare, and it's constantly evolving. I'm going to work towards more specialist accreditations in what I'm doing, and then hopefully leading these scientist-led services that I'm currently training in. Looking forward, for the HSST, and I was going to give a bit of a plug of research, but I think Lauren's covered that pretty well. There's real research opportunities there for allied health professionals such as ourselves, and there's something that if you are interested in, I'll second that, have a really good look at it. But then also moves into industry as well. And I think the bottom line is that the skills and experiences I've had over the STP has made me very, very employable, and it's optimistic looking forwards. So I think mine was quite short and sweet, but take-home messages, get organised early. If you don't hit the ground running, you'll soon come into problems as you hit more specialist years later on. Collaborate, speak to people on the training networks, speak to people in your hospital. You'll find that something that you might be struggling with that could take you all day to sort out, you could have a half an hour chat to someone who's done it, and it's a problem halved. But also reflect on yourself and how your training's going. Is it going the way you want it to? Is there any direction that you want to take it? And again, collaborate and speak to people about that and see if there's any ways you want to take it. Kind of echoing as well, the more you put in, the more you'll get out. So if you really, really be proactive and look to open some doors, you'll be surprised at the doors that open for you. But the bottom line is, enjoy yourself. It's an absolutely fantastic course. I had a fantastic time. And looking back, I'm really, really proud that I've done it. And although I said it was hard work, if anyone wants to do it harder, I have a young son halfway through second year, and I took him to school for his first day today. So there we go. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thanks, Kieran. I probably won't ask you too many questions, but the one thing I will say, you enjoy being a STEM ambassador.
Yeah, it is great. And as I said, it gives you a fresh perspective, and some things that you start the STP and everything's quite new, they quickly become the norm. You see in different people in different disease states, and the impact that you're having on their lives starts to become a bit routine. Yeah. When you start to talk to people outside of it, and especially children with the insight that they have, it really makes you feel like you're doing something worthwhile. Yeah,
I agree. I think becoming a STEM ambassador is a fabulous thing to do.